Okay, guys, so the next one we're going to do is this shot of Neil and Helen. Now, what I have done with this one is I've created a duplicate and I have two versions of this. One version because I wanted the colors in the Christmas tree and I wanted the blue, but another version because I needed to try to maintain their skin tones as best as I could. So they're the two images and we're going to put both of them together. So let's open both of these up. All right. So what we want is I want the blue tinge and the color of the Christmas tree in this one, and we want the skin tones and stuff in this one. So because the skin tones are important in this one is the one I'm going to run through retouch for me. So we're going to do that. So retouch for me will run. Okay, so our retouch for me panel has finished doing its thing and looks really good. So I'm just going to check skin tones. So I do like the skin tone to a degree, how it's taken a bit of the yellow and stuff out from around this area, but it's also taken it out here in Helen's arm. Oh, sorry, it's added, sorry, my mistake. It's added the yellow back in here. And it's taken the yellow away up here, which I kind of like because it was something that I was going to have to do because this is quite a yellowish sort of frame and there was a lot of yellow in here. So again, if you want retouch for me, we'll put the link in the description for you. All right, so we've worked on the skin and retouch has done its thing with the skin on this particular shot. So what I'm going to do is flatten this and then we're going to grab it and drag it on top of the other one. So you drag it over, press shift, and there we go. It will sit directly on top. So there we go, there's our two. So what I'm going to do is add a layer mask to this one. If we invert the layer mask, then we see all the blue and we see the greens and reds of the Christmas tree. But now we've got to paint the color of their skin and stuff back in. So we'll do that now. Now, in case you're wondering, this shot it's a bit of a weird shot. It's taken from one story above them, and Helen is looking up. So there's a bit of behind the scenes for this one. You can see where, up on a flight of stairs looking down at a Christmas tree, and I've seen the area where we can get a reflection and B, get a bit of the Christmas tree in and do a shot that was a little bit interesting. So let's say, because we had a flash set up in underneath the stairs, held above Helen's head, so naturally we wanted her to look up. And because we were one flight above her, that would be the natural thing for her to do if we were taking a photo. So we've kind of let the lighting guide the pose in this one to a degree. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to have a look over the frame here just to see what's sticking out, to see what we can change and adjust, or if there's anything that feels wrong. Personally, I don't like this gap just here. I'd rather fill that with some Christmassy sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to content aware fill that and see how we go. Not super duper happy there, so we might grab a spot. See what it does there. No, don't love that either. No, not loving that. So we're just going to go Control F5 again. Cool. All right, I'm just going to leave it like that. We don't really need to add more in there. Okay. Now, these brighter sections up here are a little bit bright and a little bit distracting. So is this, and the ground to a degree. However, I'm a little bit reluctant to do a whole lot of changes down this area because we do need to rub out the blue and replace it with the skin tone, with the right color of skin tone, as you can see there. So what I'm going to do here is I think we're going to work up here a little bit just to get rid of these distractions up here, and then we'll head down and do the rest. So what I think I'm going to do, if I use my dodge and burn tool, it's going to darken everything down, but I really only want to darken the highlights or the lighter parts here. So what I am going to do is I'm going to grab my brush, I'm going to go to darken, and I'm going to duplicate this layer so that we can work on this layer as opposed to the original one. Also going to add a layer mask on there so that we can remove or adjust what we've done. All right, darken, opacity. All right, so then we're going to select a darker area, and I'm just going to darken back these brighter parts. So as you can see, because I've selected the darken blend mode here, what we're doing, it's really only working on the lighter parts. So it's picking up the highlight or the light parts and then darkening those back, which is what the aim was. So I'm pretty happy with that now. We don't really need to adjust anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to merge these two together because we're all good. All right, so now we're going to go white brush. We're going to select normal, go to about 40%, and then now this is where we're going to have to be very careful and start painting in skin tones and painting in the right color for their skin without really changing anything on the Christmas tree. Or I still want to leave a bit of the blue in here. So it's going to be a case of just painting things in and being a little bit careful to get that right. So as you can see, as I paint it in here, I'm not going too crazy around the edges, but I'm making sure that their skin tones are at least right. And then we'll see where the dust settles on the edges of the frame. So I still want to keep a little bit of the blue, as I said, but don't want to go too overboard with it. There we go. So for me, that looks pretty good there. So now I'm going to go over to here because we need to adjust the reflection too. And we want to match the reflection to what we actually, to what we see, what's happening over there. All right. So as you can see there, reflection looks pretty good. I'm happy with their skin tones. I like how that looks. I like the color of the Christmas tree and the fact that there's still a little bit of that blue tinge around here, which I'm pretty happy with. In terms of what else we do, I'm pretty, again, not an award quality photo by any stretch. So I am going to just flatten this. I'm going to be lazy and not work in layers, but just flatten it. What I do want to do is this diamond section in here is a little bit bright, and I do want to darken that back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select that portion in there. It's potentially a little bit messy in the selection, but that's okay. Again, not really an award quality photo, just nice kind of general work. All right, so that selection is potentially a little bit rugged, but as I said, I'm kind of okay with that. Oops, wrong one. Not too concerned. All right. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want a sharp edge on that, and if I just create a layer, it's just going to be a sharp edge. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go to select, I'm going to go to modify, and I want to expand that out a little bit. So I'm going to expand this by about 10 pixels, I think. Cool, and that expands it all the way out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to feather it about 100 pixels. I think should be good. No, we might go back a little bit. Let's feather to 50 pixels. All right, and then what I'm going to do is create a layer, and then I'm going to select that layer, and I'm just going to darken that layer back. So as you can see, like if we go all the way, there's a bit of ghosting and stuff around there, which obviously we don't want. There's also, you can see the changes in Neil's jacket as we adjust that. So instead of using curves, I'm going to use levels, and I'm just going to pull just a bit out of that with levels. Go to there. All right. Cool. So as you can see, there's still there's that halo effect, a bit of ghosting sort of going on. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to be lazy, and we're just going to flatten that, and I'm going to go back to my brush tool, which arguably I could have done in the first place. I'm going to go to darken, brush tool, and I'm going to select the darker area, and we're just going to paint over that to get rid of that halo kind of effect that was going on there. Go a little bit darker. And we might just go over here a little bit as well. So as I said, the darkening, or the darken blend mode, only really works on the lighter part of the frame. Now I know that has darkened sort of his jacket a little bit here, but I'm not too concerned about it because the light is up here, and naturally the light would fall off and his jacket would get darker down lower. So I'm really not concerned. All I wanted to do was just hide this lighter area. So there's still a little bit of a halo there next to his jacket, so I'm just going to go a little bit more detailed, a little bit more intricate in there. Cool, there we go. As I said, a little bit messy. I'm not a Photoshop guru by any stretch. I'm just doing this, you know, from what I've learned, from what I know, in the hope that showing you guys is going to help you guys. All right, so I'm pretty cool with how that all looks. Let's go to image pop. I just want to see what that's going to do. Cool. I do like that because it does bring out Helen and Neil a little bit more. It does darken the edges back a little bit, potentially a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is just go to about 50%, I reckon, with that. And I'm kind of happy with how that looks. So then I'm going to go my dodge and burn, and we do have some brighter sections down here where the handrails and stuff are. So I'm going to go back to normal blend mode, keep it on about 30, and I'm just going to darken just a little bit some of this stuff around here, not too much. So it's kind of a bit of a vignette going on to a degree. And then I'm going to go to my dodge, and I'm just going to give them their faces just a little bit of brightness. That's probably a little bit too much, so I'm going to back that back. And what this will do, because it's a luminosity layer, it does only work on the light part, but in brightening it up, it does make their skin tones a little bit lighter, which I'm good with. And do you know what? I'm happy with that. So I'm going to be lazy and flatten that. Now there's another action I've got here that I've created, and I call it Slight Pink Bubble Tea, and it's puts a slight yellowy purple sort of tinge, and it does brighten things up a little bit as well. So I'm just going to run that and see what it does. So as you can see, it hasn't done a lot. It's changed the skin tones a little bit, but it's just brightened everything up a little bit. Potentially it's a little bit too much. So what I am going to do is just, still going to add it, but I'm just going to drop it to about 20% because I think that's about right. It could be argued that the light part here on Helen's dress is the brightest part of the frame, which pretty clearly it is. But at the same time, I don't want to try and darken that back, because if I do, it's probably going to end up going like a darker grey, muddy sort of colour, which I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just going to grab it just very roughly, and I'm just going to see what happens if I do just very roughly potentially darken that back a little bit. See how if we darken it back that way, it goes a bit muddy. If we darken it back that way, yeah, don't really like that look. If we go curves, yeah, it's muddy again. Yeah, look, don't really like that. Even like that was just very rough. But even if we were to go to make a copy and make that a luminosity layer, so it didn't affect the color, I think it's still going to. It's still potentially going to go a bit muddy, and yeah, I don't really like it. Not going to bother. It was a white dress. I love the dress. So. And look, not really much more to add to this. What I'm going to do is just add that sort of quick softening to it a little bit, which again is going to add a bit of contrast. So we need to remove that. I'm going to go to 100% because I'm going to remove the contrast completely. Black brush to rub out. So we're going to remove it from there. Remove it from our subjects, and at about 50%, I'm just going to remove it from here a little bit, just a little bit, not too much. Cool, I like that. And then last thing, just a little bit of quick selective sharpen. So I'm not going to do too much with this. As I said, the retouch for me does a really great job of this. So pretty much all I'm going to do is paint a little bit of this in. Going to be at 50%, and all I'm going to do is just give Helen's eyes a little bit of sharpening, sharpen up her teeth a little bit, and give Neil a little bit of sharpening on the beard and stuff. The hair kind of goes out of focus a little bit because we are at 2.8 for this shot. So all I'm going to do is just bit of sharpening on the edges here, a little bit on her ring, and a little bit on Helen's hair as well. So I'm not using a lot here, I'm only at 50%, and then just a touch on the dress. Now because our Christmas tree is quite sharp in certain places because the depth of field was the same, in the spots where it is the same, I'm going to give that just a little bit of a sharpen too, because that looks cool. Not going to sharpen the shadow or anything like that. Maybe a little bit of on Neil's jacket there, but guys, that's pretty much it. There we go. So I like that one. We've gone from this through to that. With the use of two, the same photograph, just duplicated and edited slightly different. One for the surrounds and one for the skin tone. But I'm really happy with how that looks. Our models are the focus of that. they're the brightest part, and it's balanced by Christmas tree and a nice reflection. So really like that one. So I'm going to save that. Done. And there we go. That's the other one. So let's close that up. I'm not going to save that. Don't need that one. Excellent. And there we go.